Special counsel Jack Smith has filed to dismiss the federal election interference case out of Washington, D.C., and the classified documents case out of Florida, both against President-elect Donald Trump. Smith cited the Justice Department's policy against prosecuting sitting presidents. The president-elect has faced charges in connection with his alleged efforts to overturn the election results of 2020, as well as his handling of classified documents. We have team coverage for you. CBS News Justice Department reporter Rob Legare has been covering this case for us. And CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi is here to provide analysis. So, Robert, I'm going to go ahead and let you handle both of those cases and what Jack Smith said in both of those filings to dismiss the election interference case and the appeal surrounding the documents case, because we know Judge Cannon had already tossed that.
Sure. Well, Lindsay, thanks for having me. As a reminder to viewers, this was expected, and this is not much of a surprise from the special counsel. The Justice Department has a longstanding policy, as you mentioned, forbidding the federal prosecution of a sitting president being at the top of the executive branch, where the Justice Department also sits. And so federal regulations dictate that sitting president cannot be prosecuted. Jack Smith was appointed in 2022 to take over these two cases, the election case and the classified documents case. They have both proceeded to varying degrees of success and failure. The classified documents case was dismissed in July. The election case was appealed all the way to the Supreme Court. They made a decision on presidential immunity and sent it back down to the federal court for interpretation. Both of those cases were ongoing in various stages of litigation. An appeal in the 11th Circuit in Atlanta on the classified documents case, and then an interpretation of the Supreme Court ruling, pretrial motions in the D.C. case. Both of those things were ongoing. When Trump was elected president earlier this month, here at CBS News, we reported that Smith was going to work on winding down these cases based on that Justice Department regulation forbidding the prosecution of a sitting president. And here we are, him saying we're doing just that in both of these cases. The appeal in the 11th Circuit of the classified documents dismissal, he's dropping that. He's asking the judge in D.C. to dismiss the 4 counts in the election subversion case, both based on that DOJ regulation. And so this is what we were long expecting. The deadline was December 2nd. So Jack Smith and his team are doing this a bit early before the Thanksgiving holiday. But here we are, where we expected after Trump was elected president.
Rob, Trump also had co-defendants in the classified documents case. Does this mean Jack Smith is also going to end the appeal in terms of their prosecution?
So interestingly, no. There were three defendants on that case. Trump, Carlos de Oliveira, who was a Mar-a-Lago maintenance manager, and then Trump's right-hand man, personal assistant, Walt Nauta, who we've seen with Trump along the campaign a lot of times on camera right behind him. They were both charged in a separate section of the indictment in the classified documents case, tied with Trump to this alleged effort to obstruct the investigation. Like Trump, de Oliveira and Nauta have denied all wrongdoing and pleaded not guilty to the charges. Their cases seem to be ongoing. The special counsel in his very short filing in Atlanta, the 11th Circuit in Atlanta, basically said this does not affect these two individuals because the Justice Department regulation does not pertain to them. And so it appears that their appeal is going to be ongoing. We reached out to one of the attorneys, or for all of the attorneys for all of those involved, including Carlos de Oliveira, and he told CBS News in a statement that they disagree with this decision, but they said that at the end, they believe that this case will ultimately be acquitted and Carlos's charges will also be dismissed. But here, it's quite notable that the special counsel is saying, we're dismissing this for the president-elect. We are not doing it for his co-defendants.
Caroline, what do these filings mean for these cases? Can they be picked up again after Trump's second term in office? One being, of course, the prosecution and one being the appeal.
Yeah, well, the short answer is that they won't, even if they could be. They will likely Smith probably would like them to be dismissed without prejudice, meaning they could, if they survive statute of limitations issues, they might be able to be resurrected. However, Trump will effectively nullify that possibility by, I would assume, pardoning himself for those types of issues. These cases simply aren't coming back. But, I think, as noted, it's not simply because Trump said that he would fire Jack Smith within 2 seconds of getting into office. Jack Smith is really following the rules here. And what that is specifically, their Office of Legal Counsel memoranda, one in 1973 and one in 2000, specifically dealing with this question. It is not a law on the books or any type of regulation that says specifically that the prosecution of a sitting president is not allowed to move forward in a criminal context. However, this internal body within the Justice Department has looked at the issue and they've recommended that it not be pursued. And Jack Smith is citing to this Office of Legal Counsel memoranda in both of these filings, saying, we understand that this case would effectively be nullified. We could not proceed with this case when he gets into the office of the presidency. And therefore, we're extending sort of the spirit of this memoranda and the constitutional principles embodied in this to presidents-elect. And so they are, quote unquote, winding it down, which is effectively dismissal. But the upshot is that these cases are gone forever. Lindsay.
Caroline, something I want to clarify for our viewers, and you said these cases are essentially going away. Can you explain the difference between these cases at the federal level and Trump's conviction at the state level in New York related to those hush money payments, for which, again, we don't know if he's going to be sentenced for that until potentially after his first term, or it could be dismissed?
Yeah. Right. Really, really interesting issues here. Some of the same issues here, but as you noted, because they are on a state level, and Jack Smith, who is obviously the special counsel appointed at the federal level looking into specific crimes and bringing charges against Trump, they have nothing to do with each other. However, I will note that the Trump team has taken the election of Trump and noted that these principles, these constitutional principles of not moving forward with the criminal prosecution of a sitting president should be invoked in this New York case. They are making an argument for complete dismissal of that case, not only in two contexts. One, in the context of this presidential immunity idea that we saw being handed down from the Supreme Court last July that effectively stopped the Mar-a-Lago documents case and the other federal case against election interference in their tracks. They're making one motion to dismiss based on that, and then another based on, again, this constitutional principle that the executive branch is supreme above all other branches, that the American public deserves to have a president that is not conflicted, that is not, always thinking about these types of things hanging over his head, that the American public deserves to have this a president who is free from these types of issues. And so you will see this type of argument being made by Trump's team in the New York case. And that is still really very much in the balance here.
Robert, what happens now?
Jack Smith, the case is moving forward related to those two co-defendants in Florida in the Atlanta appeal. So we'll see what happens there. But here at CBS News, our reporting is that Jack Smith, in winding down these cases, is likely going to end his term as special counsel before President-elect Trump is inaugurated on January 20th. At the end of a special counsel investigation, when everything is closed, they write a report, submit it to the Attorney General, and by regulation, under the special counsel regulations that dictate how this process works within the Justice Department, they have to then, that report has to be submitted to Congress. There's also an unclassified version that can be released publicly once it goes through the entire intelligence community clearance process. Attorney General Merrick Garland has pledged, since he became Attorney General almost 4 years ago, that any special counsel report that is completed under his tenure would be released to the public. He has done that twice now, once in special counsel John Durham's investigation into the 2016 investigation, and then in the Robert Hur investigation into President Biden's handling of classified documents. And so if history is going to dictate what happens next, we should expect potentially a report released by the Justice Department at the end of Jack Smith's investigation as well.
Robert Legare and Caroline Polisi, thank you both so much. We've also learned that Donald Trump's lawyers are asking for more time to file their motion to dismiss in his criminal case out of New York. In a new filing, the president-elect's attorney Todd Blanche said he needed 3 more days beyond the previously imposed deadline because special counsel Jack Smith was supposed to explain how the cases would be dismissed by December 2nd. As we were just reported, Smith already filed those motions to dismiss. The Manhattan DA has said he is against outright dismissing the state case, but he's open to pushing it until the end of Trump's next term. A jury convicted the president-elect earlier this year on 34 counts of falsifying business records. Trump has said he intends to nominate Blanche as deputy attorney general.